Ye be listening to Two Chunks and a Hunk, a movie podcast where they be given pumps and dumps.
Welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week, I'm your hunk.
I'm Doge, and I am, without a doubt, the best hunk you've ever heard of.
And I'm Carter, and
you hunked us the wrong person.
one of my favorite lines to say with my shirt off.
That's what I look for when I'm watching a movie. Like
his
which
inflections,
of these lines
that dude's
would be good?
inflections are his pecs.
Yeah.
Impections.
Both the wrong person.
Peckflections.
Impeccable.
I'll tell you why I'm a hunk.
Yeah, talk to us.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
In my lunch bag right now, I have, what would you say is the best leftover food of all time?
Meatloaf.
Spaghetti.
I have neither of those. I have pizza.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good
that's
leftover.
actually the best.
I
one.
have local pizza,
Ooh,
half a
from
block
where?
away. Shout out to Old Hags. Amazing
Well, have a
possible
good
future
summer.
sponsor. It's amazing. New York style pepperoni. 3 slices in there, and something I call Carter sauce, which is a mix of ranch and Valentina sauce.
Okay. Yeah.
Carter sauce manifests in many ways.
Okay.
All right.
Carter sauce started as tartar sauce with Cholula
Oh.
and
Yikes.
Tabasco in it.
Oh.
Did you say yikes?
I do say yikes.
It's good.
Well.
Okay, boys, with your carrots and whatever you do, sriracha.
Hey, that's good.
So I'm hunky for that.
Yeah.
And
All right.
I'm looking forward to it. That never fails.
Yeah.
I think a good pizza, I'm down.
I am the hunk because when Panda Express asked me, do you want to donate $1 to a children's charity? I said, yeah.
Dude,
Wow.
you're better than me. I don't always do that.
So I just,
That's
Yeah.
hunky of you, man.
I know.
That's very hunky.
What about you, Doge?
Well, to be clear, if this is your first time listening, the show is still called Two Chunks and a Hunk, but Captain Cotillion, our beloved pirate captain, has done away with that kind of meaningless social distinction. And we're
Yeah.
all hunks. And,
Get it out.
and
true.
this week, I'm the hunk because I have a joke that is guaranteed to slay.
Uh-oh.
It's going to lead us right into discussion about this movie. And so here we go. A slice of coconut cream pie is $2.50 in Barbados. It's $2.75 in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's $3.25 on St. Thomas. And these are the pie rates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
that
dude.
sounds-
Chelsea's dad sent us this, and it made me lol.
That's a pretty good joke. It's a pretty good dad
This
joke.
is a peak dad joke.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
And dad jokes get a bad rap for being like, ha ha. Like,
Hey,
okay,
I
that's what happens most of the
love
time.
Dad jokes.
Dad jokes can really tickle.
I
Yep.
like the one where it's like, how much does it cost to pierce a pirate's ears?
How much?
It's about $1 an ear.
It's really good.
That's really good.
Why don't we start more shows like that? I think, okay, next week when we record, we all have to Google best jokes and say something from that list.
Here's a good joke. That's how
What's
you
up?
do comedy, right?
Right,
Hey,
yeah.
here's a good joke.
I would be lying if I said there weren't times I've gone into recording Googling funny opener.
What is a pirate's favorite letter?
It's going to be a bait and switch, but I'm going to go with R.
Good guess, but it's actually the C.
Yeah, that feels right. I thought it was going to be peg leg.
Huh?
Huh? So this week, we're talking about, in case you can't tell or don't remember,
Peg
a
leg.
movie. And that movie is part of our series,
Mhm.
Shiver Me SEPTIMBERS. And that movie, of course, is known as
Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Man.
A nice long title to compensate for Hook last week. We talked about...
Oh, and Hook was able to just be Hook, was it not?
No.
You put a space in there.
I put a space in there
Ooh, you
because
clever
there has to be at
girl.
least 5 characters in the title of an episode with
How
Podbean.
interesting.
So our episode last week was called Hook Space.
Even an acronym for this one would make it.
Yeah,
That's true.
many words.
Yeah, and what's so interesting about this movie is this is the only movie out of all of them that anybody I've told about a pirate series has been like, so obviously you're doing Pirates of the Caribbean. And everything else, it's like, Muppets, interesting.
Oh, yeah, I know. yeah, well,
Yeah, I guess
you can watch Grown Up Peter Pan.
yeah.
So we finally have made
What's
it to the
Cutthroat
one
Island?
that everybody's on the same page about. And I'm excited to talk about it.
Man, glad to be
too.
here.
It has been a
I'm
long
just happy
time.
to be here. Thanks for inviting me,
Yeah.
guys.
It's cool to finally be a part of this. It's been a long time since I've watched this movie, and I didn't realize how long it had been until the movie started, and I went, I don't remember this part at all.
Oh, wow.
The young swan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It has been so long. And then, what was his name? Gibbs?
Mhm.
I was like, isn't that Gibbs?
Yep.
She's known him for that. Like, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, yeah. And it started piecing back
Yep.
together
Yeah.
my Pirates of the Caribbean. I've seen the two following this more recently than I've seen Black Pearl.
Mhm.
So I have seen every Pirates of the Caribbean movie except for this one in theaters.
You were just too young for the first one.
I don't think I just wasn't interested. It looked kind of scary to me.
What were you?
when
were
it
like
came out.
11?
9.
Cool.
It was scary. as
Oh,
a
for
kid.
sure. I mean, this is Disney's first PG-13 movie.
I stopped watching the first time I ever tried to
At
watch
the
it.
skeletons?
No. At the part where Will throws the axe into the back of a pirate.
Uh-huh.
And I was like,
that's too much.
yeah,
This is
I was
too
like,
much.
what, 8, 9, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I was watching it and it happened. I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this. And like, I
and there's
stopped
really not a
watching
good
it.
way to console you there. It's like, that's okay. He'll come back. He's not dead.
right. Right. They're like, it's just lasers. Like with Star Wars, my parents were always like, the
Yeah.
stormtroopers are robots. They're fine. Like that kind of stuff. And with that one, it's like, it's murder.
We
Like,
should do
I was
Star Wars
not
someday.
ready for that at all.
Well, you guys want a synopsis?
I think that I would love a synopsis. Can you instead give me a synopsis
Ooh.
from the ocean?
Sure. As I was trawling along the bottom of the Great Blue Sea, I did find this pearl in the mouth of a clam. This synopsis was written by Anonymous. Pirates of the Caribbean is a sweeping action-adventure story set in an era when villainous pirates scavenged the Caribbean seas.
Fact.
This roller coaster tale teams a young man, Will Turner, with an unlikely ally in rogue pirate Jack Sparrow. Together they must battle a band of the world's most treacherous pirates led by cursed Captain Barbossa in order to save Elizabeth, the love of Will's life, as well as recover the lost treasure that Jack seeks. Against improbable odds, they race toward a climactic confrontation on the mysterious Isla de Muerta. Clashing their swords in fierce mortal combat, Will and Jack attempt to recapture the Black Pearl ship, save the British Navy, and relinquish a fortune in forbidden treasure, thereby lifting the curse of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, so the second part of that synopsis was the story of this movie. The first part was a different movie where
That's the most thesaurized synopsis I think I've
it's
ever read
such
on the
an
show.
Awful use of describing words. And
Yes.
pirates already comes with the assumption you don't have to say villainous pirates.
Yes.
You don't have to say rogue pirate.
right. Right.
It's like saying a pirate.
a heroic superhero.
Well, how would
Yes.
what if he's a lawful good pirate? He's like an officially
That's worth a shot.
we know one of
deputized
those.
pirate.
We know one
It's
of those.
worth a shot.
That's true.
That's
What if it's like
Captain
Captain Cotillion? Captain Cotilion's not a real
He's just
pirate.
a nice guy.
One of
So,
his kind.
There's a word that typically gets thrown around with pirate movies and some sort of like it. It's a word that you'd rarely hear outside of this genre.
I know what word it is.
And it's a word that I love, but I can't stop laughing about it. That word is swashbuckling. And let me tell you something. This movie really buckled my swashes.
yes, buckle right
for
up.
sure.
I mean, my swashes have never been so thusly buckled. What does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
I have no
I'm looking at
idea.
Doge.
So I looked up the actual
Oh, good.
definition, but I
Thank
have
God.
no idea why all of those particular syllables are together. But it means to go on daring and romantic adventures.
You don't know the origin of it?
I have no idea what a swash is or why they're being buckled.
Can you use it in a sentence?
You're like on your hand, like spelling.
But yeah, so I looked up the
It's a word of
actual
origin.
definition of the word, and that fits
Sure.
daring romantic adventures. And not romantic like love, romantic like romanticized. And so
I mean, it's true love with
Swashbuckler is a compound of swash, an archaic word meaning to swagger with a drawn sword, and buckler, a small shield gripped in the fin. A small shield gripped in the fist.
Nope, fin. It's dolphins.
Gripped in the fin. Dipped in the fin. A small shield dipped in the fin. And boy, howdy.
Thanks for bringing clarity to it.
So I think like a princess bride would be swashbuckling. Like it's that kind of stuff.
For
Game
sure.
of Thrones.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, 100.
But this is a swashbuckling movie if ever there was one.
There's not another word for it.
So
swashbuckling also, according to Wikipedia, which I know Carter hates, typically involves a connotation of intense acrobatics.
yes, yeah.
Which, I mean,
They're
yes.
intense.
The moment that I laughed out loud watching the movie, giggling to myself, going, man, my swashes are getting buckled right now, was when Jack and Will are fighting in the forge.
Oh, it's
and
so
they're like,
good.
that is
It's so fun.
swashbuckling. I mean,
It's
I
so
would use the word
Indiana
swashbuckling
Jones.
so much.
It really is.
It
It's
is so Indiana
It's
Jones.
Indiana Jones with pirates.
Indiana Jones
It's
buckle
so
swashes.
good. Mm-hmm.
For
It's
sure.
So good. This movie. So some of the trivia was that it technically ended like the curse of pirate movies.
Yeah.
They were not
Interesting.
doing good. So as much as we loved Muppet Treasure Island and Hook, as we know, critically, this was not acclaimed.
Yeah.
Right.
Or for some, it's not even considered really a pirate movie, which is kind of
It's
weird
kind of
to
only
me.
barely a pirate movie.
Yeah. So it was like the 70s, pirate movies were huge.
Yeah.
All successful. Sinbad, all that kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then for 3 decades,
Just nothing.
womp womp. But then,
But then.
$650 million later.
Wow. I love pirates
Mhm.
just sort of as a subject. And so it's why Shiver Me Septimbers has just been such a blast so far to me.
Yeah.
It really has been.
But this movie is so good.
Was anybody surprised to the timelessness? Were you surprised
was
that it was
very
2003?
Yeah.
I was very surprised at how well it holds up.
Not
just
to
in
mention,
general,
even
all
the
around.
CGI,
Yeah, it looks
which is the
pretty
number
good.
one thing to look at and be like, this is dated.
Yikes. Yeah, it holds up really
There were
well.
a couple of moments that
Yeah.
aged a little bit, but for the most part,
No.
it looks pretty great.
It's
Well,
good.
and that's a trend that Pirates continues. We're not going to talk about them, but 2 and 3 introduced, for my money, the best CG character outside of Gollum
Completely agree.
in Davy Jones.
Oh, yeah.
That is the most impressive CG, probably aside from Thanos, that I've seen in a movie in
I
the
was-
last several
yeah,
years.
it's really good.
I was joking to Carter before you got here that I
You
know
guys
it
hang out
can't
without
be.
me?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know it can't be, but my super dump for this movie in actuality is that Davy Jones isn't in it. I know that Davy Jones,
Yeah.
Bill Nye as Davy Jones
The science guy
Right.
himself.
is outstanding.
Mhm.
And so I do miss him terribly in this movie.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But it's,
I'll get by.
and they kind of went big. I mean, they budgeted for pirate movies having not done well. Disney shelled out $140 million to make this movie.
yeah.
And so,
And I think they learned the wrong lesson from it because this was right around the time that they were also like Haunted Mansion, that should be a movie. Country Bears
Right.
Jamboree, that should be a movie.
Right.
yeah, it's like the rides to movies thing.
Yeah.
The biggest flop they've ever had was going to be a movie to ride situation was John Carter. So John
Oh,
Carter
yeah.
was supposed to be, and it was pitched as like the original comic book character, but it was supposed to be
Hey,
a ride.
I
They had
love
ride.
that movie.
I do too, dude. But
that
they
movie-
tore it down.
That movie is a masterclass in marketing done the complete wrong way.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that. Oh my gosh. I could talk about John Carter forever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting.
It's my name, by the way.
Yeah.
So I love that I'm associated with the biggest flop
Yeah.
of all time.
You're like the
Yeah,
biggest
sure.
flop of all my friends for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
But
I,
it's just
I
you
guess
haven't
I
been-
deserve that.
You
I
haven't
set
been
that up.
marketed well.
Old,
That's not your
old big
fault.
flop Carter. That's what I always say.
That's it.
So, the opening of this movie.
You just don't hear from me the rest of
You
the
don't
podcast.
You just hear that your mic has clearly been muted and it's just like through our mics that you hear. So the opening of this movie is so good that as I was watching it, I was like, how do I not remember this?
Right.
Like it
There's no
immediately,
credit.
Right.
Like,
it
jumps in.
immediately is gripping.
Yeah, I love it.
Just boy washing up, hide the pirate treasure, jump forward about a decade.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something maybe spicy.
Hit it.
We don't need this.
Okay.
We don't need
Okay.
this flashback because everything that we see happen in this gets talked about in like the next 20 minutes of the movie.
Right.
We don't need to spend time on this. There's not a place where it feels like, man, we could have used more time there. So as long
Sure.
as we've got the extra time, may as well show it. But this is like, if your first bite of steak was like mostly fat, like, well, I mean, I guess I'll keep eating the steak, but You know what I mean?
I feel like it's only retroactively fat, though. I feel like you could make the argument for the opposite of let's talk less about it because we already know how we ended up in this situation.
We just don't need both.
Right.
Yeah.
And
This is kind
I
of
would prefer
browbeating
to
into
have
us.
this opening scene and talk less about it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, as long as you still give me like a voice singing the pirate
Oh,
song.
yeah. It's such a cool opening.
Yeah. So
Just the fog, and you see the black pearl just sort of disappear over into
it's
the
really
mist.
very good.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think is so fun about pirates is that with pirates, always, I feel, comes a lot of superstition and a lot of legend. Very rarely is something interesting brought up about pirates that's not just completely cloaked in mystery and intrigue.
Yeah.
And that's part of, I think, why they were so successful at what they did is it was scary to even see them.
That is my super pump for this movie.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
The atmosphere of this movie and the way that we blend like the piratey superstition
Just
with
mystique.
like, yeah,
It's really
like,
good world building.
There
Oh my
is,
gosh.
I can't think of anything that's like this. And I think this is something that like, it's kind of diminishing returns in the sequels. Like
I think so too.
in 2 and 3, we get some good like Davy Jones and Kraken, and that's still piratey. And then in the 4th one, we get the Fountain of Youth, which is not piratey. And in the 5th one, we get the Trident of Poseidon, which is just Indiana Jones at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think like the world building, particularly in this one, that keeps it feeling so like just classically piratey
Yes.
is unparalleled to me.
Well, and I think there's something so fun about Jack breaking down the legend about him not being true,
Yeah.
but he lets it stay so that he becomes feared.
Yeah, for sure. And there was really brilliant ways to kind of give the audience knowledge that we needed to appreciate the story. The fact that we're hearing about the rumors of the Black Pearl from these two soldiers
Right.
that are basically Monty Pythoning as
Yes.
Johnny Depp escapes.
Yes.
What a great way to put that in. And I do love also the contrast between our two sets of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Like we have
Yes.
two Timon and Pumbas. We have them on either side.
Right. We have evil.
and they will
Timon and
eventually
Pumbaa.
have a fight together. Very intentional and just really, really well done. I love that. It's really good storytelling. I'm going to look up really quick. I was surprised by the writer's credits. So Ted Elliott, who was
Ted Elliott, the least piratey name.
Yeah.
right
of all
one of the
time.
main writers. Okay, so he's done another Johnny Depp thing. A lot of the times, even writers will reach out with the casting director to get someone that they've written before.
Follow project to
'cause
project.
I think it just is because it happens in your mind.
Right.
I imagine
Yeah.
Johnny Depp playing this character. So probably his biggest flop was Lone Ranger. He also wrote on that, but he was a writer for Aladdin, the cartoon,
oh, no way.
Oh,
and
wow.
for Shrek, the first Shrek.
Wow.
So this guy, in both of these, what's funny though, is outside of the Lone Ranger, because I haven't seen it and can't vouch for it, both Shrek and Aladdin have similar, like some kind of world building,
Yeah.
like taking things that were already known and just adapting them a little bit.
Yeah.
Like our guy who did Muppets was just known for doing pirate movies in a really different light. Like he also did Hook.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you've got this guy come in, and that kind of made sense to me. And I love like little deep dives like that of like,
Yeah,
what is
that's
your
so cool.
inspiration? But it makes sense. I also love being surprised for those kind of credits.
Sure.
Yeah.
I never really look up who also wrote.
Yeah. No, that's.
But
always
when you do
interesting.
that, it's like, oh,
you see the connections.
Yeah, you see the connections.
Yeah.
And with screenplay, I mean, it's a big nomination for an
Yeah.
Oscar. So
Sure.
somebody's appreciating
It's just so impressive, especially with this, the amount of stuff that they just had to invent and convince us of out of whole cloth at the beginning of this movie for us to buy.
They do
Right.
it really
Like,
well.
It's so well done.
Yeah.
Right. I think that the best route to take at this point is to talk about the arrival of Jack Sparrow.
What a perfect arrival. So there's a handful of, let's just talk about some of the top of those top 15 we talked about yesterday.
Sure. Yeah.
Like when they are introduced, it is almost as if,
Yeah.
like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did everybody know that these were going to be epic characters so their introductions are super memorable?
So I think-
or because Vader coming through the door.
Right.
Yeah.
We've got Indiana Jones running through the jungle.
Right.
We've got, I don't know James Bond's. That one doesn't stand out to me. Han Solo just kind of I can remember meeting some of these characters for the first
Let's
time.
look
Yeah.
at these opposite ends of the spectrum. Okay. So let's look at, a lot of Batman movies. We get a very intimidating first look at Batman.
Yeah.
And then Han Solo, he's just sitting in a booth in a bar.
He shoots a dude, to be clear.
Right. Yeah.
He's very Han Solo in that first one.
But I'm talking about our literal first look.
Yeah.
You know, it's not imposing yet. I think of John McClane in Die Hard, who made the list for good reason, but his show up is he pulls up in a cab.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like
Ripley is waking up from cryosleep.
Right.
Well, you know, it's
these two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And something that's interesting is I feel like Jack Sparrow splits the uprights.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he shows up and it looks so epic, and then it zooms out and he's not.
Well, it gives us him. Like we get in a nutshell who Jack Sparrow is in 60 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that he's made a deal to where he actually has a gain, he has a profit in terms of money by being a little conniving, a little tricky, and somehow Johnny Depp had control of it before he said a word. This is some of the best nonverbal acting I've ever seen.
Well, and I think watching the sequels, it's easy to forget that Jack is more than comic relief.
Right.
Because we don't, I mean, it's clear as the series goes on, we don't know what to do with him, really. Like when we get to later movies in the series, he's just a drunk pirate who walks around.
Do you call
and
him,
does
is he an
goofy stuff.
anti-hero or not?
So I would actually call him the protagonist of this first movie and a side character with too much screen time in the next two.
Interesting.
Because this movie is Jack and Will's story when it boils down to it, I think.
You think it's more Jack and Will than Will and Emma?
Elizabeth.
I
think it's Will and Elizabeth. I don't think it's Jack at all.
I think that this story is Jack and Will's story, and Elizabeth is kind of along for the ride by nature of her relationship to Will in this one. And then I feel like the next two movies are Will's story.
Interesting.
The next two movies are definitely Will's story, but I don't.
He feels way more like a Han Solo to me.
Jack,
I think it's Luke and Leia's story.
Yeah.
And then Han is just
I hear you
there to help.
Jack
and
is
untrustworthy.
Simultaneously the inciting incident, basically.
Yeah.
For everybody, but also like the guiding light that they're following to
He's the
their
most
goals.
significant Magoo we've ever seen in movies.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
He happens to bring the narrative along instead of just barely staying alive.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting.
Right.
I like this.
And so as he shows up, we're watching him careening close to Will's path so that they can converge.
Yeah.
And that happens because he is taken and arrested for trying to steal a
Everything
ship.
he does, I laugh.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And that's not because I got to know Jack Sparrow. We talked about before about some of these movies with iconic characters.
Right.
Or even things like when we watched Alien. Like this was a scary sci-fi, like this was one of Ridley Scott's first. So it's like we didn't know his vibe yet.
Right.
Yeah.
But somehow it feels like it had been there before that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like the fact that Jack Sparrow, I don't know. You can't put a finger on how you knew. I remember in theaters knowing this was iconic, like what this guy is doing. We were having a conversation. We had a little watch party. We had like Pirates Booty and Golden Nuggets.
Yeah.
And we were like, how many people from 2003 to 2019 in this coming Halloween have
been
dressed as Jack Sparrow?
For real.
Yeah. Well, and I think Jack Sparrow is a perfect example of a character that I love that became annoying to me because of the obsession with him.
Yeah.
Like it was like stop, he's great, but you're making him out to be, I don't know. I love Jack Sparrow. He was almost my super pump for this movie. He was very close to my super pump for this movie.
Yeah.
And I still feel like he gets overblown in pop culture to the point where it's like now it's become a caricature of what was so cool about him.
You know
in
what's
this
funny
movie.
too? As I'm starting to think of all these beloved TV or beloved film characters, they are some of the most semi-relatable. Either you can say I could have been this person, or it's like they're not perfect. Like there's something about me that I can compare to someone in this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So none of these top characters are ever the holiest of holies, purest. Like most of them are playing either side.
Well, it's because we love a flawed character.
I think that's why, super tangent. I think that's why Superman movies typically don't work out super well.
Superman was not, I think he was in the 80s.
Yeah.
For favorite movie characters. Yeah. So that's so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and Jack is the perfect example of a highly flawed character that is incredibly
Highly
interesting.
flawed. That's a good way to put it. That's
Yeah,
a word I should have found when I was describing it.
And
but-
so, the pirate siege on what is this, Port Royal, right? That's sort of the moment that Jack and Will end up entangled in each other's stories, and so Jack is catching on pretty early to who Will is. We
Yes.
agree with that, right?
And I will say too, while we're in this little prison, that my super pump happens a little bit before this, but in the same setting.
Okay.
So when you have the pirates actually reaching out to, and there's several frame for frame of what actually happens in the ride, the Pirates of the
Yes.
Caribbean. But to me, this is some of my favorite. It's just tangible creativity. Like I was looking at that and saying, this is one of the things that inspired this whole story.
Right.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time in storytelling.
Right.
If you were to look back, that's some of my favorite nuggets of like trivia, or you're reading about like this character was inspired because of a friend I had.
Yeah.
Right.
This place was inspired because of this image I saw in
Like
a
how
painting.
Chewbacca was George Lucas's big border collie named Indiana. So we
Yeah.
have two of the most iconic movie characters from this one dog that George Lucas
And so
had.
the fact that this was this was a ride that started as being a part of like the World's Fair
yeah.
and has been around for a long time.
Right.
And it's so funny too, because now it gets to come back. And at the end of that ride, well, throughout that ride, Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow is in the ride of Pirates of the
now,
Caribbean.
now
He's in
it
there
is,
now.
yeah.
But it was, and again, Disney failed. Their percentage of wins on making a ride into a movie, very low.
This is the only
This is the
one,
only
right?
one.
Yeah. I mean, it is. We're going to have Jungle Cruise soon.
Oh, we are.
Wait, what?
Did you not know that?
Emily Blunt's in that, I
Emily
think.
Blunt and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And from
Yeah.
what I've heard, it's actually going to be really good.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Exactly. And
I'm just
because
waiting on another Country Bears Jamboree movie.
Country
Heck,
Bears 2.
which by the way, that's not going to exist anymore in Disney.
Really?
Because of how egregiously it's not appropriate. And
Agreed.
so it's gone. Like it's going to be turned
Agreed.
into something else. But yeah, I think the fact that you just have that image, and I'm not saying that's where it started,
Sure.
but the fact that someone said, let's make this is a story, right? This is storytelling.
Sure.
This 2.5 minute ride is telling some kind of a story. Let's flesh it out. That's some of my favorite stuff.
And you get those moments like you get the parrot on Cotton's shoulder of the
Yeah.
dead men tell no tales while they're going.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
ride.
Oh,
the
for
slow
sure.
float through the wreckage.
Yeah.
That's the ride.
Well, and the ship battle between like so much of this, the redheaded Wii Sports lover that is in Tortuga, like
Certainly.
she's a character in that. The drunk, the guy laying in the pigsty, like it's all there.
Yeah.
And so that's just so, I absolutely love that. So I super pump that.
Yes.
Just the manifestation of an idea
Yeah, I agree.
that's
Now-
associated with something different.
There is something, though, that I think comes from this being Disney and this being based on a ride. And I don't know what it is. There is a level of misplaced cheese that I think is a result of indecisiveness in this movie. Like
Examples?
Talk
quite,
more about that.
not quite being sure. There's just some sort of jokes and over the top moments. So I specifically think of Elizabeth being thrown about 500 feet up in the air off of that blanket.
Yeah.
That feels like and it's so weird to talk about like breaking my suspension of disbelief when we're talking about like pirates
Skeleton
that turn into
pirates.
skeleton
Yeah.
zombies and that kind of stuff. But those are established rules. I'm big on this. We talked about this with Harry Potter a lot.
Yeah.
Those are established rules in the world of this movie we're watching.
Right.
There's pirates that turn into skeletons. They can walk underwater and they can't die. We know this. The end. At no point was it ever established that those pirates have super strength and can throw Elizabeth Turner so high in the air off of these blankets that
So why does that break the disbelief? Because that was a moment for me too where I was like, nah, it's a little weird. But why does that break it? And Will and Jack fighting in the forge and launching each other up and down off of that
it does,
seesaw.
That breaks it for me too.
Okay, that didn't break it for me.
That breaks it for me too. The launch and climb up and fight on top, that's fun. That falls under swashbuckling to me.
And this doesn't though.
It does not.
Interesting.
Huh.
It
I
does
can
not.
see that to an extent.
Yeah.
Because with swashbuckling, so the back and forth, haha, we're on a seesaw bouncing. They're not actually fighting at that point, and it's that feels weird. It feels like if you jump on one of these, that's not what happens. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's such a strange line for me to draw, but it does bother me when movies do that. unless there's an establishment of like, yeah, these seesaw things just work differently in this world.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
It feels a little bit like nuking the fridge in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Correct.
Where it's like, I mean,
Why does that work?
why? Yeah. Why is that the thing that breaks it for me?
Or Temple of Doom
Right.
when they ride a
Temple of Doom, the
inflatable
minecart.
raft
Yeah. Oh, the raft. Exactly.
from a cliff to the river.
Right.
You know, that
and
kind
it's
of
stuff
stuff.
like that. And so that is actually my super dump for this movie.
Huh.
That specific point.
That is the epitome of it, but
Okay,
it's more.
okay.
Yeah.
It is more the indecisiveness of are we goofy fantasy over the top, or are we swashbuckling fantasy over the top?
Interesting.
Yeah.
And one I'm okay with, and one bothers me. And
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm like this. I don't know why that's my wiring
That's fine.
of like breaking established rules in your movie, or not establishing why a rule can be broken. Maybe is the better way of
I
putting
think
it.
that's what sets this franchise apart from things like that's why it's not really mentioned in the same breath as things like Star Wars and Harry Potter and like these
Correct.
huge cultural forces, is because I don't think we ever really fully decide what this story is. Like, what do we want it to be?
Which
We
is a
flip back and
huge
forth.
shame.
Exactly.
because this movie has, particularly this first one, I believe if it had been made today with the sincerity and earnestness that a
Yeah.
movie like a Star Wars or a Marvel movie, like something where it's unapologetically doing its own thing, I believe that we would see the launch of one of the most popular franchises ever.
I mean, it's
right
a
now.
top 10
No,
already.
I
and it's
know,
not like
but
we
I'm
didn't
talking
see
about
that,
like
yeah.
like what Doge was saying, mentioned in the same breath
Yeah.
with the greats.
Yeah, for sure. And I get the hypothetical, and I love that of like, I agree. Like if it was
Sure,
brought to
yeah.
today.
Yeah,
But I also have to
love this
give
movie, though.
massive kudos to the risk they took
Yes.
for this
100%.
movie. Like the fact that was pulled off.
Well, and that
they were
risk
still
gave
doing
us
things.
this movie, and we can watch it now.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Like-
that's just so crazy to me. But that's great.
Yeah.
I totally get everything you're saying.
So there's a lot of ground to cover still, but before we cover that ground, there's another ground to go to. And that ground is Shout Out Fest. Yarr, I be squinty broadsides.
And I'm Slippery Chairs Morgan.
And I'm dangerous, hard wound.
And you're listening
Bastarde. Forget how long my name is.
to Shout Announcements.
Those are our very good pirate names.
That big
thanks, guys.
energy at the beginning and then forgetting what the rest of my name was, which is in character.
That's true.
Because you're
With a
you're
big
got
old,
that head wound.
big old head wound.
You got that headwind. Well, hey, we want to give some shout outs.
Big ones.
And first shout out, of course, going to go to Tyler Station. We in here also going to give a shout out to Crumb and Kettle because we're being fueled by them
No.
right now.
ate a blueberry scone from them this morning, and it is the best one
I had
I've
something
ever had.
called a laminated something. What was it called?
Brioche, right?
Brioche.
Laminated
Laminated
brioche.
brioche.
It's basically a crazy cinnamon sugar roll thing.
It's a
a roll that
butter
they
cinnamon bomb. They
Ran
call
through
them.
that machine that puts plastic on the top and bottom of it, and then you have to cut it out.
Yeah.
It
you never
smells
actually get to eat it,
awesome.
but it,
Yeah.
it smells
My
great.
poop will actually be like sausage.
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. Oh,
It'll come with a wrap.
no. And
I'm sorry, I'm a pirate. What do you want?
also going to give a shout out to Podbean. We pay you money and we put stuff on you. Mostly our podcast.
Most of the podcast. Podbean.
Podbean.com.
I want to give a big piratey thank ye to everyone who has rated and reviewed our podcast. And a big piratey, please continue with your good work to everybody who hasn't done it yet. And that was a little more Hagrid than pirate, but we're going to roll with
I'm
it.
down.
You're
I'm
a
down.
pirate, Jack.
I want to also give a shout out to all of our Instagram followers. Doge runs my favorite Instagram account right now, and that's the Two Chunks account.
Instagram energy.
It's so fun. Was really happy with the plethora of fun hook stickers that are out there.
For real. That's
Did you
so
see my
nice.
Roly Boy
That's
one?
really good.
Wasn't that fun?
That was great. There's so many hook gifs.
Yes, but please get more people to follow that. We get a lot of updates there. That's where a lot of the times our voting platforms will be for when we're
Yeah.
asking for new movies. I want to give a shout out to Story Shaped Life.
Yes.
So we worked with them a little bit last year. I was able to be on for the Enneagram 2 type, but they talk a lot about just how stories shape our life. It's a lot about personality. This next season they're going to have will be about emotions. And so there'll be 3 hosts now. Ben will add his wife, Emily, who was on the podcast with me, who is a counselor and knows a lot about that kind of stuff. And so it's always super interesting. And be on the lookout for some of our contributions to that podcast.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I am only just now learning that the Area 51 raid thing is not a joke.
It's
and
happening.
people are actually doing, as we're recording right now,
like
there's
right
a
now.
group gathered at Area 51. There are people, I really thought it was just going to be one fat kid.
Man,
that
I'm
was
hoping
like,
for some.
I'm
hoping
here
for
for the
some
jokes.
sweet alien podcast tech that's going to really take our show to the next level.
Well, also, how many camera crews do you think are out there trying to race to be the first to make a documentary about this whole thing?
not enough.
Yeah.
There needs to be
I'm
more.
going to watch them all.
Yeah,
Oh, for
100%.
Like, it's like Firefest type
There
stuff.
are
It's
so
weird.
many people there. I'm seeing a picture right now. I'm looking at it right now. And this picture comes from Jesse Iwuji.
Guys,
if you're unfamiliar, Jesse Iwuji
is our hero.
He's our hero. He's a NASCAR driver. He gave us an intro for one of our Fast and Furious episodes a little over a year ago. Jesse Iwuji might actually be Superman.
He's the best.
Yeah.
he's
and
at area. Go.
He is at Area 51 right now, just making sure everything's cool.
Yeah.
He's just there to keep the peace because he's the realist. And I love him. And go to his Twitter account right now. It's just at Jesse_Iwuji. He has a picture that I assume he took at Area 51 of this massive crowd. There are people there. Naruto running.
Yeah.
It
is the craziest thing that's ever happened.
It really might be.
It's the second craziest thing that's ever happened. I think we need to talk about what we're reviewing to end Shiver Me Septimbers.
That's true. That's a good
true.
point.
This is a
There's a
wilder thing.
movie we referenced in this very episode that there was kind of a curse on pirate movies for about 3 decades. This one is big old good reason.
Victim
why
of that curse.
Yeah.
Gina
This one took the Aztec gold.
Davis's Cutthroat Island.
Oh, man.
Cutthroat Island is going to be a lot of fun. None of us have seen this movie.
It's true.
My wife says she's seen it multiple times because it was a big
Really?
family movie for them.
Okay.
Everybody's
Oh, wow.
got one like that,
Yeah.
at
Wow.
least.
That was
That's like,
RV for me.
you've also heard of that? Yeah, exactly. And so we'll be reviewing that, and we're going to be ending Shiver Me Septimbers
No,
in a
don't
very
talk like
piratey
that.
way. It'll be on October 1st, I think.
We're stealing a week from the month of October.
Listen,
Much
right.
like Pirates
Captain
do.
Cotillion may be a manners boy, but he's still a pirate.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
still got to take some stuff.
So it's very Canadian of him. Like as
Yeah.
he's stealing it, he's like,
Sorry.
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
Sorry?
me, Captain Cotillion. I'm so sorry that I'm going to have to take this from you, but we're going to release our episode on this Tuesday, October 1st.
He's probably a Canadian pirate, isn't he?
He probably
I mean, I
is.
know he is.
Yeah, he
I'm
definitely
on his
is.
crew. But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. And again, this is going to be one of those that we would say would love for you to watch before.
Please watch it with us.
Yes.
Watch it with us. It
And
also might be a pretty fun organic experience to have never watched it and hear us talk about it. So it's up to you.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's a choose your own adventure of the highest degree. Speaking
And they
of
all
adventures.
chose poorly.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not great. Speaking of adventures, though, it's time to get back to ours as we return to the Black Pearl, and we're back. You thought I was gonna be crazier with that one,
thought
didn't
you
you?
were gonna be a little
Actually
more
were,
wild.
though. Those eyes were
Yeah, you can't.
Unwarranted.
It was a visual experience. I
Pirate
think.
eyes. Yeah.
We're back to the movie.
way to
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
The rest of
I'm
the
so glad you got that.
3-part heart. You can't hide.
So
How can I not?
the raid that we were talking about of Port Royal.
Of
is-
Area 51 or Port Royal?
Yeah,
Which one?
sorry, of
Okay.
Port Royal.
Okay.
Similar. A lot of
Port-
pirates-
Port
those
Royal was an
dudes-
abandoned amusement park, by the way.
Wait, really?
Yeah, a lot of that was filmed in it was a Camelot type amusement park that was
Oh,
no
wow.
longer.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I had
That
no
saved
idea.
a lot of money on set construction.
They
I'm
say,
sure.
it did.
well, because they had to spend some more money on set construction later because of what happened to poor Keira Knightley and her mom. Did
Oh,
you hear about
yeah.
that?
No.
The boat, they were coming back from one of the scenes on one of those remote islands for Tortuga,
Uh-huh.
and the boat sunk.
Oh my God.
And she was like, the saving process was like an hour.
oh my goodness gracious.
And so they were like, set pieces.
Yeah.
Change.
Not actual islands anymore.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, crazy.
Her mom was on the boat?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like her
just
mom.
hanging out.
Well, I mean,
She was super young.
She was 17. So
Yeah.
yeah, her mom was probably with her.
Yeah.
So the raid on Port Royal by the Black Pearl
Mhm.
is being led, of course, by the captain of the Black Pearl.
Tell us about this
And
man.
my super pump
Yep.
for this movie.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Rush's Captain Barbosa
Not even one of his top 4 credits.
Which-
Can you believe it?
is bananas.
It is the least kosher, and by that I mean most hammy performance, but it's amazing.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he has the best line in any Pirates of the Caribbean movie besides Davy Jones in the second one. But
Do you fear death?
oh, sorry, I was thinking I cannot be summoned like some mongrel pup. That's the third one.
That's
Actually,
the third one, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, his. You better start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner.
Yeah.
it's
You're
really
in
good.
one. I mean, that is this movie.
Well, honestly, his whole dialogue
Everything.
before that, like the whole thing leading up to talking about that was incredible storytelling.
Yes.
By like a character that's in the movie. And yeah, Jeffrey Rush.
So now, falling into the same like cheesiness that I was talking about earlier, he goes from being terrifying and eating dinner to basically her bouncing around through, this is Halloween, this. I mean, like, it's an immediate turn to like, this is pirate ship. Right. It's just skeletons being like, you're so spooky.
If everyone else is going to sing, I'm going to sing the song I want to sing.
Jordan Green, a listener, sent in his Super Pump and Super Dump. Barbosa is his Super Pump.
Natch.
He says, Jeffrey Rush delivers a masterclass of acting on how to play a pirate captain,
Yes.
classical pirate captain. It's amazing.
And it's so funny. And I am fascinated by shapes in storytelling, meaning most of all, shapes of people. Like how humor, like Laurel and Hardy, like big guy, skinny guy.
Right.
But the fact that I think when people imagine pirates now, because some of the most accessible lore we have are movies and the Pirates movies, if you're a bad guy, you've got a big nose, your teeth are awful. Like it's everything that Jeffrey Rush actually is.
Right.
Because he was chosen to play this character.
Right.
Yeah.
And like pirates can be pretty. It made cosplay a lot easier for guys and girls because of Johnny Depp's facial structure.
Right.
It's like, that's what that gets.
We play into that a little bit with Dustin Hoffman as Hook last year, too.
Big nose. Like that just.
Big
that,
nose, bad teeth.
Yeah. But the fact that like the narrative for stories like that are told in our culture are basically the weight of who was chosen to play a character in a movie.
Completely.
Is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And
so
Jeffrey Rush is a slam
holy moly.
dunk
Costumes
in
and
this
so this
movie.
is nominated for 4 Oscars.
Yeah.
A lot of it's the same kind of stuff that Hook did, but Johnny Depp actually got nominated for supporting actor.
I did not
Which is
realize
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, love Barbosa.
Oh my goodness. Favorite character in this movie, second only in the whole series to
and-
Davy Jones.
Right. And everybody knew it too, because he's in every movie somehow. So yeah.
Just not enough to be in his IMDb, I guess.
We play a little fast and loose, and this is something that Jordan Green mentioned in the email that he sent. We do play a little fast and loose with the rules of the curse because sometimes they can't feel pain, and sometimes they can feel pain.
Yeah.
There are a couple of when she dumps embers on what's his name,
The one with the eye,
Rigetti,
the bigger one.
Yeah. When she dumps embers on him, he reacts in pain. Will cuts one in the cave, he reacts in pain. But then Barbosa says we can't feel pain, and like he shoots the shorter guy. What's his name?
I thought it was that they can't feel pain while they're skeleton-y.
If that's the case, we need to establish
We
that.
do need to establish that. I agree
We're a
with
little
you.
fast and loose with those
No,
rules.
that completely falls in line with the things that drive me nuts about
Was that
movies.
your super dump?
No, that's Jordan
Oh,
Green.
oh, oh,
Jordan
oh.
Green sent in that, and that's his super dump.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, that's
I
good.
thought that was worth bringing up, though, because it's interesting, because especially with how much you've talked about, you can't make a rule and then break it and expect me to be on board.
No,
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And what's fun about sort of the way that pirates lend themselves to storytelling outside of the curse even
Yeah.
is the back half of this movie is Ocean's 11 on boats.
Boattions 11.
Right. It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Actually, Ocean's already a boat. Right?
Everyone's
Twist, turn,
getting duped,
betrayal.
duped,
Yeah.
duped.
Yep.
Which becomes such a, I mean, with pirates, it makes a lot of sense.
right.
So yeah, it's so fun in that light, especially when we get the, we didn't even get to do that, but essentially how Captain Jack and Will get that boat and can do it with a 3-man crew or something.
Sure.
Yeah, that's very good.
Which is so funny. Like the people going after them helped them set it off,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
hilarious.
and Elizabeth's encouragement to him later when he's freaking out. And she says, you're Jack Sparrow. You're the guy that stole a boat and raided Port Royal and didn't fire a single shot.
Mhm.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the first glimpse of Jack's brilliance that I think we really, truly get is when he steals the faster boat, the
The Interceptor.
Interceptor.
Yep.
But when he climbs the big one, gets them to draw out the Interceptor and then swaps and leaves.
Yeah.
It's just perfect.
It's so funny. And that Interceptor ship, that's an actual ship. That's not
Yes.
a set piece. And it's used in a lot of
Is
movies.
that the same one that gets blown up in 3? Is he on the same boat the whole time?
I don't know.
Norrington? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
The scene
yeah.
I'm talking about down the stairs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember. I really, really want to watch 2 and 3 now.
So
after watching
bad.
this.
So bad I want to watch
I have
2 and 3.
the Blu-ray box set, so I may do that pretty soon.
Okie dokie. I just need Davy Jones in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my super dump that Davy Jones isn't in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that.
I know.
Oh, one more interesting Jeffrey Rush thing. So he has a theory that we watch movie scenes or we watch movies
I read
like
this.
Yes.
how people read books.
Which is crazy.
And so anytime he's got Jack, the monkey, he was worried that Jack was going to be like a bigger distraction. So he wanted to make sure he was always to the viewer's left of Jack.
I think there's something to that, though.
Oh, for sure.
I think there's something comforting about left to right motion on screen. And
Well, maybe that plays well to Western audiences, though. I'm like, as somebody like,
no, that's true.
my entire job is framing up things and I
You don't think about it
see
that way?
I just don't think that's true.
Hmm.
I don't think people watch movies like that.
I don't think so either, at least not in a surface way. But I'm wondering if there is something psychologically discomforting about a character moving from right to left, it being menacing, and from left to right being comforting, or something like that.
I mean, there's
That
a
would be
whole
great.
bunch of motion theory that like the area that you're primarily shooting your movie for.
yeah,
like
51.
Yeah, exactly. Area 51. But most movies are shot with Western audiences primarily in mind.
Sure.
And so a character making progress is moving from left to right across the frame. A character who is regressing is moving from right to left. A character who is good is left to right. Who's menacing is right to left. Like there's a whole like
That's so cool.
directional theory aspect of cinematography. But I just don't know that it's quite as prevalent as Jeffrey Rush seems to believe.
Yeah, no, I
Right.
agree.
For sure.
Speaking of people getting duped and double crossed and hijinks that definitely ensue in the back half of this movie, we don't really think about the effect that our actions have on Bootstrap Bill Turner. And I know that he's a character later on, but like his whole deal is that he is currently on the bottom of the ocean, unable to die.
Theoretically, he is.
Yeah. Well, no, he is. He absolutely is right now. He's on the bottom of the ocean, unable to die because an anchor's tied to his bootstraps. Whenever we lift the curse, he drowns. And that's when he becomes part of Davy Jones' crew. My super dump, and this is a little reachy, but I love this movie, so I'm allowed to have a reachy super dump.
It's fair.
My super dump is that we don't really get any indication from Will that he's thinking through that.
Hey, I agree.
Like his whole thing is like, wait, my dad was a pirate. Like it's his relationship with his father is like a big driving thing for him. And we don't even get a moment of consideration of, should I lift the curse? Because that means my dad's for sure going to die. Like, is there something we can do? Can we get him back before we lift this curse so that I can have a dad again? I don't know. That doesn't really have a huge, I don't know how we would fit
totally
that
see
into the
that.
story, but I would have liked at least a little acknowledgement of that because I don't think we think about the fact that,
That's a good point.
he just made his dad drown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that.
Yeah.
You said we don't get any indication that he's thinking about the effects on his dad.
Yeah.
So I super dump Orlando Bloom because I don't get any indication that he's thinking at all.
Yeah.
This is one of the most blank,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I read that it was almost Heath Ledger
Oh, man.
yeah, I know.
and was thinking of, whoa, what could have not just he, but anyone added to. And the thing is, too, there's probably some signs that point to he was kind of cast as a money grab
Oh,
because he was
He's coming off that-
simultaneously,
that
they had
heat.
to hide his trilogy tattoo. They had to hide
Yeah.
his Lord of the Rings tattoo.
Uh-huh.
He's doing that. And it's like, oh, it's Legolas. The first time we ever saw a Pirates Curse of the Black Pearl trailer was before Two Towers. So it's to say, hey, he's in this too. They
It's
were
like-
using him
Right.
because Depp wasn't a given at this point. Like he had already started to go down a little bit, massive resurgence in terms of his career with Jack Sparrow. But it was like, this is going to be the guy that's our flagship product. He's the one that we're going to sell this off
Right.
of. The fact that Pretty Orlando Bloom is in it. And he just didn't do enough for me.
No.
Yeah.
I'd
No,
like
I
him
agree.
as Legolas, but Legolas is supposed to act that way.
Yeah, he's supposed to be aloof and a little cold.
Exactly. He's supposed to just kind of be Middle Earth's version of kind of a robot. I don't know. Not
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah, yeah.
a robot, but a high
But
functioning.
he's like
right,
not human.
killer.
Yeah, he's supposed to be something other than human,
Right.
something distinctly different.
Well,
Yeah.
there's some weirdness to me with his performance and the writing of the character of Will. How quickly we go from like, yes, Miss Swan, of course, like so fast to like, and I practice every day for 3 hours to make sure that I can fight pirate. And it's like, this is the same guy.
Yeah.
The dork in the front lobby of this house
Yeah.
is the same guy who's just like flawlessly sword fighting.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I think that is some swashbuckle.
We
But
might get more screen time between Depp and Knightley than we actually do between Bloom and Knightley.
We get a lot
We do,
with
yeah.
with
and
Depp
it's
and Knightley.
way better. I think part of the reason why it's hard to tell who the story is about, if it's about the relationship between Will and it's because like, is Orlando Bloom a factor in the narrative? I mean, obviously.
Sure.
I mean,
No,
he
I
is.
agree.
He gets
He's
Jack out
one of the
prison.
biggest ones,
Yeah.
but I think we should have put our money somewhere else. I don't think it should have been Orlando Bloom.
I think this movie, like as I'm
But
thinking
it's
about
fine.
it,
Like I also can't imagine anyone. It's one of those
Right.
movies
Well,
that's
and I think he actually brings a better performance in the like
He
Orlando
does.
himself brings a better performance in the following two
for
movies.
sure. And it's probably because he broke his own narrative of being like, I'm just used because I'm Legolas.
right.
He's like, oh, okay, this is
Now I
fleshing
can do
out.
something.
Yes.
so I think that, and maybe that's why we've at least me, I've thrown out a lot of reasons why the sequels don't really work as well as this one does.
Sure.
I think that it's probably because this movie succeeds in spite of itself.
Yes.
Like there's some sort of balance. We've talked about it on the show before between craft and magic, where it's like you have to have something that's well constructed enough for me to follow along.
Yeah.
But something that's also unpredictable enough and entertaining enough that I want to keep watching. And this like the craft just doesn't super hold together well.
Sure.
But the magic is well exceeds the level of craft. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't work as well as it does.
I agree with you. Yeah. So I think we should talk a little bit about the curse and the way that it functions
Mhm.
because,
Good luck nailing this down.
well, no, I don't necessarily mean the world's rules of the curse.
Why don't, like, when Elizabeth has the thing, why isn't she turning into a skeleton?
Yeah, I think it is because she did not steal it out of the
So that's
treasure
why
chest.
Jack becomes a skeleton, because it was in the chest and he took
I
it out
think
of the
you
chest?
have to be the one to take it out of the chest, or else everybody that ever received one in payment or whatever would have been turned into one as well.
Yeah.
So I think it is you have to be the one who takes it out of the treasure chest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is why he's up there doing that in the first place, Jack, which
Yeah.
is such a great moment.
it really is.
But I want to specifically talk, and I know we're jumping around a little bit, but that's okay. I want to talk
Everyone's seen this movie. That's totally fine.
about, yes, Jack and Barbossa fighting in the cave, bouncing through the moonlight
Oh my goodness gracious.
is one of the coolest things I've ever
And
seen.
that's an above and beyond thing for me.
Yes.
You did not have to do that.
Yes.
That made it harder, it feels like,
Yes.
for that effect.
And the fact that it works
Freaking
so
brilliant.
flawlessly.
Oh my gosh. I love it. It's that held up the most.
Oh my God.
That's where I
Completely.
thought it was going to screw up. That and them walking on the seabed,
Which I love so
which
much.
both actually
Yes.
held up totally fine. That's the most like menacing thing.
It's terrifying.
It's so good.
and they're slow-mo, like oh my gosh.
So something I appreciate about this movie with the curse is that they think about it and they use it as a superpower.
yeah.
That they go, well, hold on.
Let's take a walk.
Right. Before
Yeah.
we break this curse, why don't we just, because again, it had been so long, I had forgotten about the underwater walking.
Oh my
And Callie
gosh.
kept going, don't they walk underwater in this movie? And I was like, I guess. I don't really remember what you're talking
Yeah.
about. And as they were about to break the curse, I was like, it feels like they shouldn't break it. It feels like they should. And then I was like, oh yeah. And then it's so cool. Just the way that they're like, well, let's go for one last ride.
Yeah.
You know, let's go out and do they keep the chest?
I don't think so.
I don't think
Doesn't
so.
it
yeah.
feel like somebody should have taken that chest and
No,
just,
we know because did you see the post credits?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the monkey.
That's our basically saying. I wonder if they were like, okay, wait, we should sign on Jeffrey Rush for the next 4 movies.
right.
Yeah.
How can we bring Jeffrey Rush back?
Right.
The monkey.
The monkey.
Yeah.
He won't be in the movie unless the monkey is.
Yeah.
Right. But doesn't
Yeah.
it just feel
On
like
the right side of him.
doesn't it just feel like maybe they should have taken the chest with them and at any given point, like we're heading into a battle, everybody take a piece of gold?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's probably enough crew members that you don't trust all of them, even though they all collectively feel like they don't want to live this life anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But it is great. I love how they use it.
Yeah.
It's not I'm trying to think of, there's probably some superhero analogy that's like, I hate that I have this. No, the Hulk.
Yeah.
Banner saying, I'm going to go ahead and get angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though, but this is obviously before he figures out how to control it. But yeah. It's so good.
And
And
to
the
be-
whole thing, it makes no sense for them to be like, you're around pirates and you're falling for the ladies in the boat trick.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So you're like, whatever. But
Which is very
I
funny.
also would be upset if that was cut out. Like if I
Yes.
knew it had existed and it doesn't anymore.
and the mid-battle switch back to the curse is gone and now all the pirates just drop is so cool.
Yeah. Those poor guys that were in the window of, right? Because some of
Yeah.
them live. A lot of them
Right.
are alive. But
Right.
some of them who just got stabbed are goners.
Right.
But yeah.
And then like I understand that it's kind of a different scene, but Jack and Elizabeth on the island together and him revealing like No, there wasn't anything magical. I didn't strap together 2 sea turtles. I bargained my way off the island because I happened to be saved.
Magoo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much good at the end of this movie. Like, I think it's where this movie really shines is in the last 45-ish minutes.
And I meant to say Barbossa's final line before he dies is brilliant. I feel cold.
Right.
And then, oh my gosh.
So good.
He wasn't holding an apple, though. I do want to say,
It was probably in his pocket.
I think it was a metaphorical apple, but he was not holding an apple when he fell.
Yeah.
And then he just lets go.
Which, by the way, the Granny Smith apple, big deal in Australia. He's Australian. Just saying. I mean, the depth of this.
Yeah, I did actually read that they did not exist. The Granny Smith apples were not around at the time of this movie, which is funny.
Unwatchable.
I can't believe they would do it.
To be clear, though, I mean, I did spend a lot of time saying the writing doesn't hold together. I think character-specific writing is a big problem in this movie. The way that the narrative kind of comes to a close with all the set pieces and the way that all of our different factions interact at the end is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I feel a little strange about everybody just letting Will go
Yes.
at the end, where it's like, you just helped a pirate escape execution.
Did you see
by the
his
way,
but
sweet
you love
hat,
my
though?
daughter.
Well, when
I hate that hat.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing.
It is the
I
Scarlet
think-
Pimpernel.
I think Swan actually loves Captain Jack more, and she's afraid to say it. She doesn't really get the Wii Sports for Will until he's a pirate. And she says, no,
Yeah.
he's a pirate. She might
Yeah.
have a little,
Well, she's always been obsessed with pirates. That's like her thing when she's a
Yep.
kid.
Yeah, they lean back out of that, but in the following movies, but
which
I do
is probably
feel
good
that in
because
this
of
one.
the age difference.
Sure, yes, sure, certainly. Yeah.
Oh,
I
almost
think
my
I could
super
agree with
dump. The guy who is the admiral or whatever,
Commodore Norrington.
Norrington?
Commodore Norrington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens later. I could have used more of his story in this one, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because if he's supposed to be like a Prince Humperdinck or something,
Right.
Yeah.
Why do we
Like-
hate him?
I needed to know. I needed to hate him more outside of him actually doing his job,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And so the last bit that I want to just put a little rose on is Jack's final line in the movie. British metal band that it
Yep.
spawned aside. Besides the band, which, whatever. The line "Bring me the horizon"
Yeah.
is so good.
It's so piratey, so swashbuckly.
Did anyone else say that was ad-libbed?
No.
Yep.
Was
Yeah,
it really?
Johnny Depp.
Wild.
Ooh, boy. I mean,
He
he's
said it came to him in the morning. That morning, he was like,
he's
"This
a
is
little
good."
Jack Sparrow, just kind of in general.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, that line is just
Oh, yeah.
find me a better ending line for this movie than
Well,
"Bring me the horizon."
Which that's technically not even the ending line, but that doesn't mean what happens after that isn't as good.
Sure,
Yeah,
no, that's
But
true.
yeah, yo ho, like if Asti or whatever he says, you mateys yo ho, and then
Drink
closes
up me
that
hearties.
compass.
Yeah,
Drink up me
hearties,
hearties. Yeah.
yo-ho.
And he gone.
I love sea shanties, man.
Hey, speaking of music, we haven't even talked about the score.
Oh,
of
my
this movie,
gosh.
Which is unbelievable. Like probably one of the most iconic of any of the movies that we've talked about, besides maybe Indiana Jones. Like
No,
I
that's
can't think
true.
of another thing that is more iconic than this score.
Oh,
true.
yeah. Super.
Was it you that said that every high school marching band has done that?
Uh-huh.
I played it.
Yeah,
I played
I
it in
did
high
too.
school.
I wasn't in marching band, but
Nerd.
Well, we played it in orchestra. I played it on the cello.
excuse.
Cello.
On the cello.
That's what I thought
On
you
the
said.
cello.
Hey, is it time to rate this movie? Feels like
Yep.
maybe it's time to rate this movie.
Yes, sir.
Well, we here at Two Chunks and a Hunk have invented the perfect way to rate movies, the scientific cinema scale.
Mhm.
And it is, of course, as follows. I'm going to invite my friend Squinty in to read this one off, if you guys don't mind.
Oh, hey, Squinty. What's up? Slide up
someone-
that there microphone,
Someone
bud.
grab his glasses.
Avast!
Yeah.
The best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it, buy that poster. The next best thing is buy it. After that is rent it, then stream it, followed by forget it. And last, but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say. God has forsaken us.
Okay, Squinty, you spit all over my pop filter, so I'm going to have to ask that you get out of here.
Someone
And
certainly
mine.
did.
And all of our pop filters. I'm going to go first. because I have a strong opinion, and it is that I'm buying the poster. And I'm almost buying the poster in spite of this movie in a lot of ways. Like, so many areas that it's just not the best in the world, but I don't even care. I'm buying this poster. Give me Barbossa. Give me Jack Sparrow.
Barboster.
All I've wanted to do since watching this movie is follow it up with the next two, and I think I'm gonna.
I think I'm buying the poster, and I've just figured it out, because it is as if this pirate movie was made by a pirate. It's risky.
Yeah, no, it's good.
It sometimes doesn't know what it is, but it's having a blast the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit all over the place. Overall, I cannot believe the risk that was taken here that paid off. Granted, this production company has done the same and failed miserably.
Sure.
Yeah.
But again, going back to my super pump, like, this was the first time that there was a movie release at Disney World, and it was outside of this ride,
Which is cool.
which is super cool. And then you get to actually have Depp sitting by Rush on the ride themselves, riding through that after they just made this $140 million movie based off
crazy.
of animatronics,
Right.
which blows my mind. And so, yeah, buy the poster for me. Has to be.
Poster from me as well.
Hey!
This falls into that category of like, I can't believe this happened, and I can't believe it works as well as it does.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't believe I love it as much as I do.
That's the one I keep getting struck
Yeah.
by, is like, I can't believe I'm buying this poster, but I'm absolutely buying this poster.
Yeah.
I mean, it basically is out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact
Really.
that it is off of a ride too, but it's also like, huh? Like, we can look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and say they had some source material.
Well,
Still can't believe this
and that
happened.
too. Well, like Iron Man wouldn't have happened if X-Men and Spider-Man and
Sure.
Tim Burton's Batman, like
Yeah.
those things paved
The
the way
way
for
had
this.
been paved.
This Pirates of the Caribbean just comes and kicks the door down and says, "Hey, what's up? I'm a pirate movie. You're gonna love me."
Dude, honestly, kind of a Star Wars vibe.
Really?
Because
Really?
it's like out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Very
so
good.
don't forget, we're not done with Shiver Me Septimbers yet. Next week,
Oh, no.
we're going to be talking about Cutthroat Island.
Please watch this movie.
Or don't.
Please watch it.
Please,
Please do.
Or please don't.
Yeah.
But please do.
I am very excited to watch this. It's going to be great.
I am too.
And make sure you tune in for that. Before we go to end this episode, I would like for us each to say our name and which pirate from this movie you'd want to go on a road trip with.
Road trip or boat trip?
Yes.
Yeah.
For Two Chunks and a Hunk, I'm Jordan Wonders, and I would take Gibbs. He just seems like a good guy.
Talk about him. I love him.
I talked a little about Gibbs, but
Well, I did.
I'd take him on a road trip. So there's that.
I'm Doge, and I don't remember his name, but I'm sure I would learn it on the road trip. I'm going to take the wooden eye boy with me. And we're going to go on a cross-country road trip to see if we can find him a glass eyeball for that there noggin.
That's good. That's very kind of you.
I think it's been a while since, or maybe I never have, but I do like the idea of a road trip that is a little more tranquil, right? Something that just allows me to reflect, get to know my needs, understand myself more.
Yeah.
So who better to bring than someone who can't talk? We're leaving the parrot behind,
Okay.
Just Cotton.
but I'm going to take Cotton with me.
Yeah, sure.
Which I'm fine. I mean, he can also hold a camera, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
Take some Polaroids.
I don't have to ask strangers anymore to take my pictures in all these different places. People don't even really have to know he was there.
You know what they say, though? Mute men tell no tales.
Okay.
That's the truth. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I think I would enjoy it. I need it.
Well, surprise, they're coming in right now.